The truth had been hidden for years, buried beneath money, pride, and fear, but it revealed itself one bright morning when the sun spilled through the mansion's tall windows and touched the eyes of a boy everyone believed could not see. That morning, a quiet maid holding a bucket of soapy water noticed something no doctor, no millionaire, and no luxury treatment ever had, and in that single moment, the life of a lonely child and an entire household began to change forever. Before the story unfolds any further, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the idea that compassion can heal even the deepest wounds, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Single Dad Diaries. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. The mansion sat on a gentle hill just outside the city, glowing white under the constant daylight, surrounded by trimmed hedges and silent fountains that looked beautiful but felt lifeless. It belonged to Aldrich Holloway, a self-made millionaire whose name appeared in business magazines and charity galas, yet inside those walls lived a sadness money could never fix. His only son, Corvin Holloway, had been blind since the age of 6, or at least that was the story everyone knew. The accident had happened years ago on a sunny afternoon much like this one, when Corvin had fallen from a horse during a family outing. Doctors spoke in grave tones, specialists flew in from abroad, and eventually the verdict was delivered like a life sentence. The child would never see again. Aldrich believed them because he needed to believe them. Accepting blindness was easier than facing the guilt that haunted him for not being there that day. Corvin grew up in a world of darkness shaped by other people's voices. Tutors read books aloud, therapists guided his steps, and servants moved furniture carefully so he would not trip. He learned the mansion by memory, counting steps, memorizing textures, recognizing rooms by scent and sound. Everyone spoke softly around him, as if loud words might hurt his fragile condition. During the day, sunlight poured endlessly into his room, but heavy curtains stayed drawn because everyone assumed it did not matter. He spent most mornings sitting by the window, his face turned toward the warmth, listening to birds he could not see, feeling the heat on his skin and wondering what colors felt like. Aldrich watched his son from a distance, consumed by work and grief in equal measure. He provided everything except presence. The mansion was always full of people, yet Corvin felt profoundly alone. His blindness became his identity, the one thing that explained why his father rarely met his eyes, why visitors pitied him, why life seemed paused while the world rushed on outside. Over time, Corvin stopped asking questions about light, about faces, about skies, because the answers only reminded him of what he was told he had lost. Everything shifted the day Mireya Salas arrived. Mireya was not like the other maids who came and went through the Holloway household. She was young but carried herself with quiet strength, someone who had learned early that survival required patience and observation. She came from a small town where mornings began with sunlight and hard work, where people learned to notice details because they mattered. Mireya had taken the job to support her younger brother, and she treated every task with care, from polishing floors to watering plants while the sun was still high and warm. On her first day, Mireya noticed how the mansion felt wrong. Too clean, too quiet, too careful. She noticed the boy sitting alone near the window each morning, always facing the light, his expression thoughtful rather than vacant. She noticed how servants whispered about him instead of to him. And she noticed something else that unsettled her in a way she could not explain. As days passed, Mireya was assigned to clean Corvin's room during the late mornings. She worked quietly, never assuming he could not sense her presence. She spoke softly but normally, describing what she was doing as she cleaned, not because she was told to, but because it felt right. Corvin listened. For the first time in years, someone spoke to him without pity in their voice. The room felt warmer, fuller, more alive. One day, as sunlight flooded the floor, Mireya accidentally knocked over a small metal object near the window. It clattered loudly, rolling across the polished surface. Instinctively, Corvin's head turned, and his eyes followed the movement. It was subtle, fleeting, but Mireya froze. She watched his pupils track the sound and light together, not blindly, not randomly, but with focus. Her heart began to pound. Mireya said nothing. She finished her work and left, but her mind raced. Over the next few days, she tested her observation silently. She moved objects slowly in front of Corvin when sunlight was strong. She stood in different spots and noticed how his gaze shifted toward movement, toward brightness. She realized with growing certainty that the boy was not blind in the way everyone believed. He saw something. Maybe not perfectly. Maybe not clearly. But enough. The truth frightened her. This was not a small misunderstanding. This was a lie that had shaped a child's entire life. Mireia wrestled with herself. She was only a maid. Aldrich Holloway was powerful, wealthy, and distant. What if she was wrong? What if speaking up cost her job, her livelihood? But every morning, she saw Corvin sitting in the light, hungry for a world he was told he could never touch. And she knew she could not stay silent. One bright afternoon, when the mansion buzzed softly with daytime activity, Mireia gathered her courage. She requested a private meeting with Aldrich. He was surprised but agreed, assuming it concerned work. When she stood before him, hands trembling, she spoke carefully, respectfully, but firmly. She described what she had seen, what she believed, and how certain she felt that Corvin's blindness was not complete, perhaps not blindness at all. Aldrich's reaction was not gratitude. It was anger, sharp and defensive. Years of grief surged up, wrapped in denial. Doctors had confirmed it. Tests had proven it. Who was this maid to challenge years of medical authority and emotional acceptance? He dismissed her, warning her not to fill his son's head with false hope. Mireia left his office shaken but not defeated. She understood fear. She understood that Aldrich's anger came from love twisted by guilt. And she also knew that truth had a way of breaking through walls, no matter how thick. That evening, Aldrich stood quietly outside Corvin's room as the sun poured in. He watched his son's face. For the first time in years, he truly looked. He noticed how Corvin's eyes reacted to the shifting light, how his head turned slightly when shadows passed. Doubt crept in like an unwelcome guest. That doubt grew into restless thought, and that night, Aldrich barely slept. The next day, Aldrich arranged for discreet testing. Not the doctors who had treated Corvin before, but new specialists, unaware of the past conclusions. The tests were done during the day, under natural light. Mireia was not present, but her presence lingered in Aldrich's mind. The results shattered everything. Corvin was not blind. He had suffered severe trauma that caused temporary vision loss and extreme light sensitivity. Over time, his sight had partially returned, but because he was told he could not see, because no one tested him again, his brain adapted to darkness. His vision was weakened, untrained, but it was there. Waiting, Aldrich collapsed into a chair when he heard the truth. Years stolen. A childhood lived in shadows unnecessarily. And all because of fear, pride, and unquestioned assumptions. He wept openly for the first time in decades, the daylight pouring through the windows as if exposing every regret he had buried. When Aldrich told Corvin, the boy did not react with joy at first. Confusion washed over him. Doubt. Fear. Hope felt dangerous after years of absence. But as therapy began, as his eyes slowly learned to trust light again, something miraculous happened. Colors emerged, faint but beautiful. Shapes sharpened. Faces formed. The first time Corvin truly saw his father, fully and clearly, was during a bright afternoon in the garden. Aldrich stood frozen, tears streaming down his face, as his son reached out, not blindly, but with certainty. That moment healed wounds no apology ever could. Mireia continued working at the mansion, but everything had changed. She was no longer invisible. She was the one who saw when others refused to. Corvin trusted her deeply, crediting her kindness and patience for giving him the courage to believe in sight again. Aldrich ensured her future was secure, but more importantly, he listened to her, valuing her perspective in ways he never had before. As months passed, the mansion transformed. Curtains were opened. Laughter filled hallways. Corvin learned to read printed words, to recognize flowers by color rather than scent, to walk confidently under the open sky. Daytime became his favorite, a symbol of everything he had regained. This story is not just about a boy who learned to see. It is about the danger of assumptions, the cost of silence, and the power of one person brave enough to speak the truth. If this story has touched your heart, if it reminded you that kindness can change destinies, please take a moment to like, comment, and share this video so it can reach someone who needs hope today. Before this story ends, we have one special request. Please comment the word light below if you believe truth always finds a way, even after years of darkness. In the end, Corvin often sat in the same spot by the window, sunlight warming his face, but now his eyes were open, alive, reflecting the world in all its imperfect beauty. Mireia would pass by, smiling softly, knowing she had done what was right. And Aldrich, watching them both, finally understood that wealth could build mansions, but courage and compassion were what truly brought light into a home. If this story moved you even a little, please engage with the video and let us know. Your support helps stories of hope continue to shine.